Hello everyone, welcome to Lukmaan IAS. Today we are going to have the Hindu newspaper analysis dated 16th of August 2023. In today's newspaper discussion, we are going to cover the editorial topics and also we are going to cover some other important topics from the newspaper. It is also very important that you keep on attending these newspaper discussions on a regular basis because this will help you to develop perspectives on various ongoing issues. Since ongoing issues, I mean there are multiple articles on similar topics over a period of time from a week to 10 days. Okay, so that's why it is important that you keep on attending these discussions. All right, so with this, let us start the discussion for the day. So these are the list of articles that we are going to cover in today's discussion. These topics along with their relevance is mentioned over here, and also page number from the Delhi edition is mentioned. So in all, we are going to cover about 12 topics in today's discussion. Okay, so let us start the discussion with the first topic. So this topic is about, let's say, consumption based poverty estimates have relevance. So here in this topic, we are going to understand about how do we measure the poverty, right? So there are different measures, like different ways of measuring it. In India, we have National Sample Survey Office and we have National Sample Survey. Okay, so we conduct national sample surveys in India and that releases data related to poverty. So for that also they have different methods, they follow different methodology. And also we are going to talk about some of the committee reports or methodologies that have been given by multiple committees. Like we are going to discuss about Tendulkar committee, let's say, methodology. We are going to discuss about Rangarajan committee methodology of measurement of poverty in India. Along with this, like there is a global report also, which is known as Global Multidimensional Poverty Index report. So that report was also recently released, and we are going to understand about some of the, let's say, dimensions that they include while measuring multidimensional poverty. And also we are going to discuss about the 10 indicators, right, that are included as part of Global Multidimensional Poverty Index. We will understand which organization releases it. And we are like at last we are going to summarize this particular topic. Okay, so let's start the discussion on this. Okay, so the name of the topic is, it says consumption based poverty estimates. Consumption based poverty estimates. Okay, consumption based poverty estimates have relevance. So let's start the discussion on it. So we are going to discuss about some of the things related to how do we measure poverty. Okay, how do we measure poverty? Why it is important for us to understand about poverty? Because this particular topic is part of GS paper 3. It's part of GS paper 3 under Indian economy. Okay, under economy. And also poverty is also associated with hunger. So like one of the United Nations, okay, sustainable development goal, okay, one of the SDG talks about no hunger. Okay, it talks about that like the world should try to achieve that, like no one sleeps hungry, right, anywhere in the world. So related to that, the Indian government has also adopted the sustainable development goal, so that like we also can ensure that none of our people are sleeping, let's say, hungry. So related to this, what has happened recently, the Niti Aayog. Okay, so Niti Aayog. NITI stands for National Institution for Transforming India. Earlier it was the Planning Commission for India. Okay, so it has been restructured, it has been renamed, right, and they have made a new organization which is known as Niti Aayog. So this Niti Aayog has come up with a report recently, and that report says that multidimensional poverty in India shows that the percentage of poor has gone down from 25% in 2015. Okay, so earlier percentage of poor in India in the year of 2015 to 16 was 25%. Now what has happened, it has decreased, okay, this particular thing has decreased. And what is the value now? Like it has gone down to 15% in 2019, like it has gone down to 15%. Which year? In the year of 2019 to 21. So this is a report, like Niti Aayog has come up with a report, and this report says that the poverty in India has gone down. So earlier in the year of 2015-16, the poverty was, right, poverty was 25%, right? But now in 2019 to 21, it has gone down to 15%. So it showcases a remarkable progress that India has made in reducing the poverty in India, right, in addressing the issues related to poverty. And if I talk about in absolute terms, right, so we have lifted 135 million people, okay, we have lifted 135 million people, right, million people out of poverty, okay, out of poverty. So we have lifted so many people out of poverty. So this is a remarkable progress that the author says, okay. So this is related to a recent report by the Niti Aayog, okay. Niti Aayog has come up with this report. Along with this, like there is another let's say report which is known as Global Multidimensional Poverty Index, okay, Global Multidimensional Poverty Index. So I'll write down this report. It is known as Global Multidimensional Poverty Index. Global Multidimensional, okay, Multidimensional Poverty Index. So this Global Multidimensional Poverty Index of 2023 was recently released, right? This was also recently released, and it is released by two organizations. One of the organization is, this is known as Oxford Poverty and Human Development Initiative. In short, it is known as OPHI. Apart from this, there is like United Nations, okay, United Nations Development Program, UNDP. So these two organizations together releases this Global Multidimensional Poverty Index. They release this index annually, okay, it releases it annually, means they release this index only once in a year. It is released only once in a year. And if I talk about the data, right, data from, let's say, the data that the Niti Aayog has given, similar data was also given by the Global Multidimensional Poverty Index, and that data showcases, right, so that earlier, according to this, let's say, Global Multidimensional MDP, Multidimensional Poverty Index, right, if I talk about Global Multidimensional Poverty Index, so according to this, like in the year of 2015 to 16, India had around, let's say, 27, okay, around 27% of people in poverty, 27.5% people were poor. And by the year of 2019 to 21, okay, by this year, we have brought down this poverty level to 16.2%, okay, we have brought down to 16.2%, okay. So these two data showcases similar picture, means like according to India's data, it is earlier 25%, now it is 15%. According to their data, it was 27.5%, now let's say 2019 to 21, it is 16.2%. So there is no much difference. However, the author talks about that these two employ different methodologies, okay, these two employ different methodologies. If I talk about this multidimensional poverty index, they have, let's say, like they have 3 dimensions, okay, they have 3 dimensions, and these 3 dimensions are divided into 10, right, 10 different indicators, okay, they are divided into 10 different indicators. And these indicators not only account for income, they also account for education, health, and other parameters, right? So they have income based plus non-income based indicators as part of Global Multidimensional Poverty Index, okay. If I talk about the Niti Aayog, they only take into account the expenditure method, okay, they take into account the expenditure related thing. And the Niti Aayog report, right, the Niti Aayog report that they have come up with, okay, the Niti Aayog report employs two methodologies. One of the methodology is known as Tendulkar, okay, Tendulkar Committee methodology, and the other, okay, the other is known as Rangarajan Committee methodology, okay, the other is known as Rangarajan Committee methodology. Rangarajan Committee methodology. Now we need to address one specific question. That question is like, in India we have national sample survey, okay, we have national sample survey data. This is generally released by National Statistical Office, let's say, okay. So this talks about household, okay, household consumption, okay, household consumption expenditure, okay. So the national sample survey data that we collect it from household consumption expenditure. So this is done as per the Tendulkar Committee methodology and Rangarajan Committee methodology. We are not going into detail about these committee recommendations, like how I mean, like, you know, one should arrive at the right poverty level, right? So we are not going into detail about it. However, when you read economy, so like in the economy lecture we are going to discuss in detail about it, okay. So this is the thing. However, the methodology that they employ, it is income based. Income based means like if you have income, you will be doing expenditure. So the expenditure that you do, from the expenditure the government is going to calculate, like, you know, whether you are poor or not. However, if we talk about the global multidimensional poverty index, right, global multidimensional poverty index, that is released by these two organizations, OPHI and UNDP. So they also employ non-income based, let's say non-income based this thing, indicators. So we are going to discuss about those indicators also quickly, okay. So these are the indicators of this particular global multidimensional poverty index. So they have three dimensions for calculating poverty. One is related to health, other is related to education, and then third is related to living standards. So in all, all of these things are given a weight of 1/3. This is given a weight of 1/3. This is given a weight of 1/3. And if we add all these together, so like, you know, together all of it has a weight of 1. Now, out of health, right, they have nutrition. Nutrition is given a weight of 1/6. Child mortality, okay, child mortality is also given a weight of 1/6. Apart from this, education, right, education is also a dimension. In education, they have two indicators: years of schooling that a student does, and also school attendance, right? They have a relative weightage of 1/6. Apart from this, if I talk about living standard as a dimension, it has, let's say, 6 indicators. One of the indicators is cooking fuel, then sanitation, then drinking water, electricity, housing, and assets, okay. So these are, let's say, indicators of living standard. So they together make up this global multidimensional poverty index, okay. They together make up the global multidimensional poverty index. And it is released by two organizations, Oxford Poverty and Human Development Initiative and United Nations Development Program. They together come up with this. However, what is the issue that we are discussing here, right? The issue that we are discussing here is like comparison of the data that is released by national, by conducting, let's say, survey through national sample surveys. So they employ expenditure method, and these methods are given by these committees, Tendulkar Committee and Rangarajan Committee, okay. They only have income based indicators. And if I talk about this global multidimensional poverty index, they do have income based as well as non-income based indicators. Now the author is saying that, like, you know, the global multidimensional poverty index data that they come up with, these data aggregates different things together, and there is a problem in aggregation. the author says that, like, if statistical data is given to someone, different type of statistical data is given, let's say to a group of people. So using that set of statistical data, each group of people is going to come up with their own interpretation. There can be different interpretations based on the same data. So the author says that, like, the global multidimensional poverty index, although they employ income-based and non-income-based indicator, however, these indicators lack the problem of aggregation. They do have a problem of aggregation, okay, means like the way that they aggregate. Let's say, like, year of schooling, if I talk about, let's say, let us take an example. One of the example would be, like, if we talk about sanitation measures, okay, or let's say we talk about drinking water availability. That drinking water availability cannot be aggregated with child mortality, okay. So this is the problem that the author is highlighting with reference to global multidimensional poverty index. So that's why the author says that the data that is released by our own statistical organizations, let's say National Sample Survey Office, or, like, any other organization from India, they are not redundant, they are still relevant, and these data can be used for coming up with some statistics, okay, So that's why the author concludes by saying, okay, so author concludes by saying these things. So author says multidimensional poverty estimates are not substitutes for national sample survey consumption based poverty ratios. So whatever data we are coming up with through the national sample survey, the sample surveys that we are conducting in India, so these things cannot be substituted by let's say global multidimensional poverty index data, okay. So this is what is being highlighted by the author here in this article. So in your free time you can read this article again, so that, like, you can, let's say, understand about it well. So with this, like, we have two questions for you. One of the question is for the mains exam, okay. This question is for the mains exam. Let us go through this question. It says, what are the impacts of LPG reforms in India? LPG means liberalization, okay. Liberalization, privatization, and globalization, okay, and globalization. Liberalization, privatization, and globalization. So these LPG reforms were brought by Government of India in the year of 1991. We have come up with LPG reforms in 1991 to address the balance of payment crisis, and these reforms have been mandated to us by the International Monetary Fund, because, like, we needed help from the Bretton Woods institutions like International Monetary Fund and World Bank, okay. So they have suggested us to do these economic reforms, right, and we have done these economic reforms, and they have proved to be very, very let's say, like, powerful for reforming Indian economy. And since then Indian economy has been consistently growing, right. So this is the thing, these reforms were done, like, in a positive way, and we have received positive results out of these reforms. So they say, what are the impacts of LPG reforms in India? Why poverty still exists in India, and what are the actions required to address the issue of poverty in India, okay. So this question has to be answered in 150 words. Apart from this, we have another question. This question is for the prelims exam, okay. It says, with reference to multidimensional poverty index, consider the following statements. One of the statement is, education is not a dimension of global multidimensional poverty index. So this is wrong, because we have just discussed that education is one of the criteria, right, year of schooling and also attendance. So we have seen this thing. So statement 1 is wrong. Second, it says it is being published biannually, okay, biannually by Oxford Poverty and Human Development Initiative and the United Nations Development Program. This is published by these two organizations. However, they publish it annually. Every year they release the data. They do not release every 2 years. They release every year. So that's why second statement is also wrong. Third, MPI is being measured by 10 indicators. Yes, they are measured by 10 indicators. One of the dimension is, let's say, health. It has 2 indicators. Health has 2 indicators, then education has 2 indicators. Living standard has 6 indicators. So in all, we have 10 indicators. Okay. Now they are asking how many of the above statements are correct. So only one statement is correct, means third statement is correct, right? So correct answer for this question is option A. We have included the explanation, right, to this question. You can download the PDF from the description of the YouTube video and you can go through the explanation. Okay, so we have explained here also. Then we have another topic. Okay, this topic is very, very important from the portion of environment and ecology. Okay, it is related to environment and ecology, and we are going to discuss about a very, very important thing which is related to conservation. Okay, conservation of species. So it says High Court bats for animals' rights to live without fear, orders relocation of 495 families near Tamil Nadu Tiger Reserve. Okay, so now let us understand about this thing. We know so I am just writing High Court order. Okay, High Court order related to animal rights. Okay, related to animal rights. So let's understand about this topic. We know that like the big carnivores. Okay, if I talk about big carnivores, right? What are big carnivores? They are, let's say, tiger, cheetah, lions. Okay, so they are carnivores, means like they feed upon other species to survive. These are the big carnivores. What happens? These big carnivores are by nature, right? They prey upon other animals. And so that's why, like, if I talk about human beings, so like these animals are not so friendly with human. In this sense, I mean, like, since they are not so friendly with human, so human animal conflict are bound to happen. Okay, human animal conflict are bound to happen. So what happens in any case, if these animals, let's say tiger, cheetah or lions, if they venture out of their own habitat, right? If they come out of their own habitat, so what will happen, right? So human beings have a tendency of getting afraid of it, right? So they start attacking the animal. So that leads to human animal conflict. And recently what has happened, some of the tiger reserves, in the state of Tamil Nadu, they do have, let's say, some tiger reserves, and those tiger reserves, let's say, they have Mudumalai and Satyamangala. Okay, so here in this article they have mentioned about some of the tiger reserves. Okay, Mudumalai Tiger Reserve and Satyamangalam Tiger Reserve. So these tiger reserves are very close to one another, and between these tiger reserves there is a human habitation. Okay, so there is a human habitation. So I'll just draw a map related to it, not the entire map, just to make you understand about the concept. Okay, let's say this is a tiger reserve 1. This is another tiger reserve 2. And between these two tiger reserves, let's say there is a road. Okay, there is a small road, and here let's say there are villages also. Okay, let's say there are villages. Villages means here we have human settlement. Okay, human settlements are there. So what will happen? These big cats or tigers, they generally, let's say, move from one location to another location. They keep on moving from one place to another place. So for their free movement, they need, let's say, free area to move. Okay, they need free area. But because of these human settlements, like small human settlements between these tiger reserves, the free movement of these animals cannot happen. So recently the High Court of Tamil Nadu, like the High Court has recently observed that animals are living, right, in fear, and since they are living in fear, they are not able to freely move from one tiger reserve to another tiger reserve. Okay, so that's why High Court of Tamil Nadu, recently the High Court has ordered, right, High Court has ordered that these people who are staying in these villages, so there are about 495 families. Okay, so the High Court has talked about that these 495 families can be relocated. Okay, can be relocated, and they have given order to the state government that you should let's say pay compensation to these families, a compensation of rupees 15 lakh, okay, per family, compensation of rupees 15 lakh per family in the next 2 months. Okay, next 2 months. And after, so the author has said that, like, money can be collected from Campa funds. Okay, money can be collected from Campa fund. So what is Campa fund? It is related to, let's say, it is associated with Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. So that ministry maintains a fund, and this fund, I mean, like, they get money in this particular fund from all those projects wherever, let's say, some organization is displacing human beings, is doing some, let's say, like forest clearance related thing, means like, they are doing deforestation. So they make some payment to the compensatory afforestation fund. Okay, so from this fund, the High Court has ordered that, like, they should collect 15 lakh for each family, and it will amount to few crore rupees for all the families. So they should get it. The principal secretary, principal conservation officer of the state should receive this money within 2 months. After receiving, within 1 month, they within next 1 month, they should relocate these families. So this was the order that was given by the High Court of Tamil Nadu. Okay, so in High Court, I mean, like, so it is, so this is the thing. So in this particular case, right, the High Court has talked about the rights of the animals to live freely without fear, right, and also the High Court has ordered for compensation of those families who will be dislocated, let's say, like, who will be translocated, right, who will be, let's say, migrated from one place to another place for the safeguard of the animal rights. Okay, so here they have mentioned about some of the authorities and all, but the larger picture is like addressing the human animal conflict. Okay, for addressing human animal conflict, the High Court of Tamil Nadu has taken this decision. Okay, so this is the thing. So what is the name of the fund? It is known as Campa fund. Campa stands for Compensatory Afforestation and Fund Management and Planning Authority. Okay, so there is an authority, and this authority should give money to the National Tiger Conservation Authority. Okay, so they have mentioned about it. Okay, so in this article they have mentioned only about tiger. However, to explain the concept, I have discussed about all the big cats. Okay, like I have discussed about lion, I have discussed about, let's say, tiger, cheetah and all, means like carnivore animals. Okay, now with this we came to another topic. This topic is also very, very important because this talks about religious harmony. Okay, this topic, the basic crux of this topic is religious harmony. Okay, so this, what is the context of this topic? First of all, we will understand the concept, but before that, let's see what is the syllabus. This is connected with GS paper 1 of the mains exam under social, like, this like secularism or communalism, like that. Okay, so this is connected with this, means GS paper 1 under Indian society. This is important. Okay, so now we need to understand what has happened recently. So Sweden is one of the Scandinavian country. We know that Sweden, okay, Sweden is an Scandinavian country. So there was a protest in Sweden, and just outside the parliament of Sweden, there was a person who has burned the holy book of Quran. Okay, so Quran is, let's say, like we sometimes can write it like this, or like we write it like this also. So the holy book of Quran, okay, Holy Book of Quran was burnt. Okay, Holy Book of Quran was burnt by a person outside the Parliament of Sweden. So this has been taken cognizance by an international organization. Name of this international organization is known as Organization for Islamic Cooperation. Okay, it is known as Organization for Islamic Cooperation. This organization has 57 Muslim majority countries. Okay, this has 57 Muslim countries, and they have taken cognizance of this fact, and they have, let's say, suspended the special status, okay, suspended the status of Sweden's special envoy to this organization. Okay, so now this is the context. Okay, means, let's say, like, you are following any religion, right? You may be following Christianity, you may be following Judaism, you may be following Buddhism, you may be following Hinduism, right? I may be following, let's say, Islam. But the thing is, like, I should respect your religion also. Means, like, I do not have any authority, right, to burn any holy book of your religion. Similarly, nobody has the authority, right, of burning the holy book of other people's religion. This is the basic thing. I mean, like, we do not need any further knowledge about it. Means, like, this is basic human instinct, that, like, we should not burn the holy book of other religion. Okay, this has happened, and that's why the Organization of Islamic Countries, right? So Organization of Islamic Cooperation, they have, let's say, suspended the status of Sweden's special envoy over there. So now let us understand what has happened. So in this article, the author has talked about, let's say, a long back story, right? So, like, the story that belongs to a millennium old, okay, that is still prevalent. So what has happened long back in this in Saudi Arabia? So that time the ruler of Saudi Arabia used to be Muhammad bin Saud, okay, Muhammad bin Saud, and he was the founder of the Saudi kingdom. And what he has done, he has signed a politico-religious pact with Muhammad ibn Abd al-Wahhab. Okay, he has signed a political pact, religio-political pact with this person, who was the founder of modern Salafism. Okay, modern Salafism. So the kingdom of Saudi Arabia, the founder of kingdom of Saudi Arabia, has signed a socio-religious pact with some other founder of some other, let's say, religious sect. And in that particular religio-political thing, the Salafism, the person who was founder of Salafism, he has given assurance that, like, we will consider, right, we will consider that, like, we will give, let's say, like, due importance to your religion, we will recognize your religion, and we will allow the people to practice their religion here in our area also. And from the part of Saudi Arabia, they have given, let's say, like, assurance that, like, we are going to establish mosque and all. So that was a age-old thing that they have done, right? Religious political pact. So it was a kind of harmony between political authority and religious institutions. That pact talked about this thing. So using this, the author has also talked about that, like, the holy book of Quran also, although it is written in, let's say, like, Arabic language. Okay, so it is written in Arabic language. However, there are English translations also. But in the English translation, while translating, they have not translated it in the way that is actually mentioned in the Quran. Okay, so they say that, like, a translation of these books should be done in a proper manner, so that, like, the crux of the message that is given by Quran, it should be kept intact. Apart from this, in this article, they have talked about that in India there was a, let's say, meeting of some religious leaders, right? So recently there was an address in the Islamic Cultural Center in India. So one of the person from Saudi Arabia visited there, and they have talked about that there should be religious, let's say, there should be religious harmony, and for that, the people should be made aware about religious tolerance. Okay, religious tolerance, and also they have talked about that there should be moderation, right, between different religious sects, so that, like, religious harmony can be promoted. And also they have talked about that there was a concept of clash of civilization. To address the issue of clash of civilization, they have talked about this thing, alliance of civilization. Okay, so this is also very important. They have talked about alliance of civilization. Okay, alliance of civilization. Why? This is antithetical to the clash of civilization thing. Okay, so clash of means like there should not be any clash between different civilization. Okay, so there should be alliance of civilization. So this article has been written by the author to promote that there should be moderation by the religious people related to conflicts that are happening, so that people can live peacefully, people can live in harmony with one another, different religions can stay together. And in India, we have unity in diversity. Okay, so India is a multicultural nation. So we do have people from different cultures, we have people following different faiths, and at the same time we are all staying in harmony with one another. Okay, so this article gives a message that there should be religious moderation. Okay, so now the author says, now is the time for all communities to work on propagating religious moderateness. Okay, religious moderateness means like, there should be moderateness among people. So one thing is like, religious extremism. So that should not be allowed to promote. Okay, so there should be religious moderativeness. Now we came to another topic. This topic is important for environment and ecology. So in this topic, we are going to understand about, right, some of the species that are in news. We are going to learn about their IUCN status. Okay, we are going to learn about their IUCN status. So what is IUCN status? IUCN stands for International Union for Conservation of Nature. It's an organization, it's an international organization. This organization, let's say, maintains a red book of threatened species. Okay, so it maintains a red book of threatened species. So this red book of threatened species mentions about the level of threat that different species are facing in different geographies across the world. Okay, so this red book of threatened species gives, let's say, like, status. Let's say some species are considered to be vulnerable, right? Some species are endangered, some species are critically endangered. Okay, critically endangered. Then some species may be extinct, some species may be, let's say, near threatened, like that. Okay, near threatened, like that. So generally, this International Union for Conservation of Nature, in its red data book, they have mentioned, like, 7 criteria, 7 threat levels that different organizations, different species face, right? So in this article, they have mentioned about some of the species, right? So it says 275 bird species counted during survey in Corbett Tiger Reserve. Okay, so you need to tell me, where is Corbett Tiger Reserve located? Those people who are watching this video on YouTube, they should mention where is Corbett Tiger Reserve located. And after this, we will now talk about those species, right, for which the IUCN status has been listed. Now it says that recently a survey was conducted, right? A survey was conducted in Corbett Tiger Reserve about different species. They have mentioned about, let's say, great hornbill. They have mentioned about other thing also. For example, about 10 near threatened bird species. Okay, near threatened bird species, and they are river lapwing, red-breasted parakeet, then oriental darter, lesser fish eagle, Himalayan griffon, great thick knee, grey-headed fish eagle, black-necked stork, Asian woolly necked stork, and Alexandrian parakeet. Okay, so their names are mentioned over here. Very, very scientific name. It is very difficult to remember their name. So what I suggest is, take a screenshot of it or make a quick note. Mention their name and their status, IUCN status. Okay, IUCN status is near threatened for all these 10 species that are mentioned over here. Apart from this, they have also mentioned about white-rumped vulture. Okay, red-headed vulture, and they are considered as critically endangered. Okay, these two vultures, they are white-rumped vulture and red-headed vulture. They are categorized as critically endangered. Okay, critically endangered category by International Union for Conservation of Nature. Okay, so what is important from this article? The important is you need to understand what is IUCN status of different species, and also note down the name of the species along with their IUCN status. That will help you. And also in the comment you need to mention where is Corbett Tiger Reserve located. Okay, so that's important. So with this, like, we will move to the next topic quickly. So this is a question that we all need to solve together. It says, which of the following statements is correct about Pallas fish eagle? Okay, Pallas fish eagle. They have given, like, it is a common species of bird found worldwide. It primarily feeds on plant material and fruits. Correct answer in this question is option D. It says it is an endangered species of bird categorized by IUCN. Okay, it is an endangered species of bird. What? This is Pallas fish eagle. It's a species of eagle, means bird. Okay, so it's not fish. Its name is Pallas fish eagle. So we will see its image also. So this is the image of Pallas fish eagle. Okay, so it says the Pallas fish eagle. Its scientific name is mentioned over here, right? Scientific name. It says Heliactus leucophus is indeed an endangered species of bird. Okay, so this is the thing. Its habitat, where it is found, everything is mentioned in this explanation, right? You can go through the explanation in your free time, right? So with this, like, we will move to the next topic. This topic is important from the viewpoint of reducing the poverty, right? Addressing the issue of undernourishment, making sure that none of the people, let's say, like, sleep hungry. Why it is important? Because recently the state government of Rajasthan, they have come up with a scheme which is known as Annapurna free food packet scheme. Okay, Annapurna free food packet scheme, and this scheme is going to benefit 1.10 crore people in the state of Rajasthan. So this is a state government scheme. Okay, it's a scheme of the state government, and they have come up this particular scheme to, let's say, like, address the issue of National Food Security Act. So this will work in sync. Okay, this will work in sync with National Food Security Act. So this scheme is related to food security, addressing the hunger related things. So they are going to distribute food packets among the eligible beneficiaries in the state of Rajasthan. Okay, so this scheme will help realize government's resolution of no one should sleep hungry in Rajasthan. So this was recently announced by Chief Minister of Rajasthan, Mr. Gehlot. Okay, so here in this article, they have mentioned many things about this particular scheme. So this scheme has been announced on the eve of 77th Independence Day of India. Okay, it was announced on the eve of 77th Independence Day of India. So they have talked about that government of Rajasthan has come up with a host of welfare schemes for its people, right? So earlier they have come up with many similar schemes, right? So they have come up with a scheme related to safeguarding the rights of the gig workers. Now they have come up with this thing, Annapurna free food packet scheme in the state of Rajasthan. So you can read this article in your free time. So they are going to distribute this foods through ration shops, means, like, they have PDS shops. They are also known as fair price shops. Okay, fair price shops. So these shops are part of public distribution system. Okay, they are part of public distribution system, and it's going to address the issue of hunger. And as we all know, hunger is to be eliminated from across the world by the year of 2030 as per United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, right? India is also a party to it, and this state government of Rajasthan has come up with a right thing to address this issue. Now this is another topic. It says, why is the Cauvery water sharing issue flaring up again? Okay, so now we are going to discuss about this Cauvery water sharing issue. So we know that Cauvery is a river that originates from the state of Karnataka. So Karnataka is a is a upper riparian state. Okay, it is upper riparian state. So this river, right, originates from here, and the water of this river also flows through Tamil Nadu. Okay, so Tamil Nadu is a lower riparian state. So generally the water flows from the state of Karnataka to the state of Tamil Nadu, through the Cauvery river. So the state government of Rajasthan has done some blockage so that they can use the river water for their purposes. However, there has been, let's say, disputes on this issue related to water sharing. Right, to address this particular dispute, the government of India has set up the Cauvery Water Management Authority. They have set up, let's say, Cauvery Water Dispute Tribunal also. Okay, so they have set up Cauvery Water Dispute Tribunal, and these tribunals, let's say, look into different aspects, different perspectives, and then the tribunal decides, how much of the water should be released to the state of Tamil Nadu. So recently the Tamil Nadu state government, they have approached the Supreme Court of India to seek, let's say, order from Supreme Court of India for the state of Karnataka, so that Karnataka should release, right, sufficient amount of water to the state of Tamil Nadu. Okay, so Tamil Nadu government sought Supreme Court's intervention to make Karnataka immediately release 24,000 cubic feet per second, which is also known as cusecs of water from this. Okay, so earlier also in 2018, the Supreme Court of India has given order that, in a year, this is the amount of water that they should release, that Karnataka should release for Tamil Nadu. However, they should also look for those issues, like issues related to contingencies. I mean, if, let's say, there is low rainfall in a particular year or in a particular season, so in that case, what should be the amount of water that they should release? So there is an existing judgment of the Supreme Court of India. However, Karnataka government has been reluctant in sharing the water with Tamil Nadu. So that's why they have approached the they have approached the Supreme Court of India. And before approaching the Supreme Court of India, recently, this Cauvery Water Management Authority and Cauvery Water Regulation Committee, they have, let's say, they have also given direction to the state of Karnataka that you should release at least this amount of water. However, Karnataka government says, we will not be able to release that amount of water, we'll be releasing little less, and over a period of 18 days. So I'm not taking into account the exact dates. I mean, so in the month of, let's say, August, how much water they have to release and all. So that's why this issue is still lingering. However, related to water management issues, or let's say, water related disputes, so the government of India has created interstate water dispute tribunal. Okay, they have created tribunals to address the issue of water, let's say, disputes, river water dispute tribunal. Okay, to address these issues. So this topic is related to that. So Karnataka has contended that lower rainfall in Cauvery catchment, including Kerala, has led to poor inflow to its own reservoirs. Okay, so that's why Karnataka government has denied this thing. Okay, means they have not denied, they are going to release lesser amount of water. So this is the thing. Along with this topic is important. This topic is important from the viewpoint of, let's say, courts and their judgments. Okay, courts and their judgments. Courts and their judgments. So let's discuss about it. It says 9,423 Supreme Court verdicts translated into regional languages. Okay, So the title itself is self-explanatory. So if I talk about the language of the Supreme Court of India, means the language in which the Supreme Court of India or High Courts hear, let's say, appeals or the hearing that happens, prosecution that happens there, it happens in English language. However, these many cases, more than 9,000 cases have been translated into regional languages. Why they have been translated into regional languages? So that people can understand the details about these cases, right, in their own languages, okay. So the Chief Justice of India, right, the Chief Justice of India, D.Y. Chandrachud, he said that the Supreme Court had translated its 9,423 judgments from English to 14 regional languages. 4 of the judgments have even been translated to Nepali, okay. So this has been said at the Independence Day celebrations, okay. So this is a good thing, because like it's going to expand, okay, it's going to expand the reach of the judiciary, right, to the common people, so that like they can understand, like, the judgments of Supreme Court related to this. So this is a step in the right direction, because like, since the country is a multilingual society, so the judgment of the court should be translated into various languages, okay. Along with this, we have another similar topic from the Supreme Court of India itself. It says, Supreme Court of India plans for expansion of infrastructure, e-courts to offer national link, okay. So like, while delivering a speech on Independence Day, right, 15th of August, the Chief Justice of India has recently said, he has said that the Supreme Court of India is thinking of expanding its infrastructure to accommodate more courts in the Supreme Court of India, to accommodate more, let's say, like judges, and also to accommodate more offices for the registrars in these in Supreme Court of India. So like, so as of now, the current strength is 32 judges in the Supreme Court of India. Now they will be establishing 27 additional courts and 51 judges chambers, like this. So they have mentioned about it, and there is a project also, which is e-courts project, okay. Under e-courts project, whatever cases are being filed in district courts, they will be accessible to the high courts, they will be accessible to the Supreme Court of India also, right. So this e-courts project is going to interlink, it's going to connect different courts, right, courts at different levels, right, they will connect. So this is a good project. So they say e-courts to offer national link, it's going to offer national links, and through this e-court, let's say, like, people can see their date of judgment or their date of hearing and all. So a lot of case related things, details will be available through the e-courts portal of the Supreme Court of India. So the Supreme Court of India or the courts in general are leveraging the technology, okay, they are leveraging the technology for let's say giving justice to people, okay. So this is the thing. Then we have another topic. This says, right, Kerala likely to face drought due to deficit monsoon, okay. So recently the India Meteorological Organization, okay, in short it is known as IMD, India Meteorological Organization, has forecasted that the state of Kerala is going to receive lesser rainfall, okay, it is going to receive lesser rainfall. Deficit monsoon means lesser rainfall in the state of Karnataka, in the state of Kerala. Why? What is the reason of, let's say, deficit monsoon or lesser rainfall? The reason is El Nino, okay, reason is El Nino, okay, this is El Nino. So El Nino typically suppresses the, let's say, rainfall in Indian continent. It does produce more rainfall in other areas, but in Indian continent, its effect is, means like it is going to affect the rainfall, level of rainfall. It's going to reduce the level of rainfall in India. There are two topics, El Nino, La Nina, okay, they are connected with one another. El Nino is associated with lesser rainfall in India. La Nina is opposite to it. La Nina, when La Nina happens, we receive more rainfall in India, okay. So this is the thing. And so then we have Indian Ocean Dipole, we have, let's say, El Nino, Southern Oscillation. There are similar terms, right? You need to read about them in detail. But like, this is just a mention of this thing that we are going to have deficit rainfall, deficit, let's say, monsoon in India. And it's attributed to El Nino, okay? It's attributed to El Nino factor, okay? So that's the thing. So with this, like, we will move to the next topic quickly. There is a question for you. You can write an answer to this question in your free time. It says, discuss the impact of climate change on monsoon. Okay, discuss the impact of climate change on monsoon. Why a major part of India faces drought? Highlight the various factors responsible for droughts in India and suggest measures to mitigate drought. This answer to this question has to be written in about 150 words. After writing, share your answer with us at evaluation@lukmaanias.com. Okay, evaluation@lukmaanias.com. Okay, share with us on this email ID. Now, this is again very important, okay? It says government raises windfall tax on crude ATF. ATF means aviation turbine fuel, diesel exports, okay? So the central government has raised the windfall profit tax on domestic crude oil and on export of diesel, while bringing back the levy on overseas shipments of ATF. The tax levied as a special additional excise duty, okay? So this particular windfall tax, okay, the windfall tax, the government is applying this as part of this special additional excise duty, okay? Special additional excise duty, SAID, okay? Special additional excise duty. So what is windfall tax? Means like, windfall tax is tax that the government applies on profits that are generated. So whenever windfall gains happen, okay, so let's say there is a business, there is a entity, if it is making profit, right, all of a sudden, like, all of a sudden huge amount of profit is happening, that is known as windfall profit. And on the windfall profit, the government can apply windfall tax, okay? So I'm not going to go deeper into this aspect. However, the government has decided to apply this particular tax on, let's say, different items that are mentioned on crude oil, aviation turbine fuel and diesel, right? And they are applying it as a special additional excise duty, okay? A special additional excise duty. So this is the thing. So recently there was a notification by the government in this regard. So with this, we have one more topic. We are going to discuss this topic quickly. It says, with amended act kicking in, Odisha has no deemed forest. Okay, with amendment act kicking in, Odisha has no deemed forest. Now, which act we are talking about? We are talking about Forest Conservation Act. So earlier we had a Forest Conservation Act 1980. That Forest Conservation Act has been amended by the Government of India. They have changed the name of the act. Now it is known as Van Sanrakshan Evam Sambardhan Adhiniyam. And as part of that amended act, they have changed the definition of deemed forest. Earlier, as part of Forest Conservation Act, the definition of forest was, let's say, like, mentioned, and there was a judgment of the Supreme Court of India in 1996 that is known as Godavarman Thirumalpad judgment. So in that judgment, the Supreme Court of India has said, like, we will consider all those areas to be forest that meets the dictionary definition of forest, okay? So that has expanded the scope of conservation. The Supreme Court judgment of 1996 expanded the scope of conservation of forest. However, the recent judgment, let's say, amendment to this Forest Conservation Act, what it does, it dilutes, right, the Supreme Court judgment. It says all those forest areas that are classified in government records as forest, they will be considered as forest, right? And the state governments and the central government can give clearance to people for doing tourism activity, for making tourism related infrastructure in forest areas. and also they have exempted up to 100 kilometer of border, right, 100 kilometer of area from the borders from the purview of amended Forest Conservation Act. Okay, so this is related to that, and this particular article says, right, this article says that Odisha has no deemed forest. All the areas that are part of, let's say, official forest record, so they'll be considered as forest. And apart from this, the deemed forest, since they do not have any area like that, so there are areas that can be classified as forest. However, since they are not in government record, so they will not be having any deemed forest. So this is written by the author, and this highlights a grim picture, because this new amended act, the Van Sanrakshan Evam Samvardhan Adhiniyam, this is going to meddle with the forest conservation in India, because the government of India wants to achieve 33% of its total geographical area under forest cover. We want to bring 33% of total geographical area under forest cover, and this is mentioned as part of forest policy. However, as per the annual status of let's say there is a report also, status of status of forest report. Okay, so it is released by an organization, okay, Forest Survey of India. So it releases it. As per the status of forest report, right, we have around 24% of total geographical area under forest and tree cover, right, and this is going to dilute the provision of conservation. So we are going to go back, right, from conservation. So we are going to, let's say, uproot many trees, we are going to go for more deforestation. It's going to bring down the forested area, right, bring down the forested area in India. So this topic is related to that. Okay, so you can read it in your free time. I have just made you understand the details related to it. Then we have another topic. This is the last topic of the day. So it says, a surge foretold inflation could undermine broader consumption and economic growth. Okay, it says inflation could undermine broader consumption and economic growth. What do we mean by inflation? Inflation means whenever there is a general level of rise in prices of goods and services. Today I am purchasing something at rupees 10. After 6 months, if I have to pay 12 rupees, 13 rupees for purchasing the same thing, it means inflation has happened in that particular good or service. And if it happens generally for most of the goods and services, it is known as inflation. So there is an inflationary trend. Recently, it has been noticed that many vegetable products, right, many vegetable products have, their prices have skyrocketed. The tomato, it was sold at 160 rupees per kg. Potato rate have gone up. Many things, right, the prices have gone up in India. So in this article, they have mentioned that about different vegetables. For example, potato, cauliflower, brinjal, ginger, garlic, onions, how their prices have gone up. Now here the author says that as per consumer price index, right, the consumer price index has mentioned that there will be a year-on-year increase in the prices of food grains. Okay, consumer price index was mentioned. So in this article, they have discussed about this particular thing. And this is also known as headline inflation, because the increase in the price of tomato, increase in the price of other vegetable product, the moment their price goes up, we see, let's say, in the news headlines, we see them in newspapers, right? So that's why these inflation are reflected in the headlines of newspapers. That's why they are also told, they are also known as headline inflation, right? So I mean, here in this article, they have mentioned various data. They have also mentioned that reduced rainfall has also, let's say, led to, it has affected the increase in the price of vegetables. And why the rainfall has reduced? Because of El Nino factor that we have discussed in the previous article. So that's the thing. I hope you could understand all these topics in today's discussion. So that's all from my side for the day. Thank you so much everyone for attending today's discussion. I hope you have a good day ahead. Thank you.